Hey everyone, it's me, it's Undead Viking here in Moorhead, Minnesota. Currently outside, the wind is blowing, the snow is falling, and it is like 5 below. So I got the Elmo hat on today. I'm going to try to stay warm. The game that I am going to be showing you how to play is Noble Treachery, The Last Alliance. This game is a card and dice game. By that I mean you'll be rolling dice and you'll be using the values on those dice to affect the cards that you're playing as well. It's kind of a weird kind of trick-taking game, but not really, because each round of the game what you'll be doing is you'll be playing a card and you'll either and then you'll be adjusting that value of the card by the dice that are on the board, and then depending on whether you are at war in that turn or you are being diplomatic during that turn, either the highest total score wins the round or the lowest total score wins the round. So diplomacy is low, war is high. And the goal of the game is that you're trying, the king has died due to mysterious circumstances, and you and your opponents are all vying for the throne. And so you need to get the backing of like the 5 noble houses. And the 5 noble houses are represented by these chits that have these number values on them. And there's one of each color, red, yellow, green, black, and blue. You can kind of see right there. There you go. And I'll go more into this during the gameplay when I show you how to play the game. I was really intrigued by the game when I was contacted by the designer because of the fact that I immediately got kind of weird Biblios vibe out of the gameplay, mostly because cards and and the dice, obviously. And Biblios is one of my favorite games. I also just I liked the idea of having the card, like the game changing each round, possibly between having high cards is good, having low cards is good, kind of that sort of thing. And I like the ebb and flow of it. And plus, there's a bidding mechanic that happens each round, and I love auction games. I love bidding games. So I was really excited to give this one a try. So there you go. It is a game for 4 to 6 people. You can't play with less than 4 because of the fact that it's just that kind of interactive experience. You just and I've played it with 4 and 5. I never got a 6-player game going, but the games I played with 4 and 5 people, I had a ton of fun. And I've given away the conclusion, but whatever. I'll tell you more about why I think the game is awesome in a little bit. The game lasts about 45 minutes, especially when everybody knows how to play, and so there you go. Well, I'm going to show you, as I said, how to play. I'm going to show you the different components and how they interact, and then we'll come back here, me and the Elmo hat, and I'll tell you exactly what I think of Noble Treachery. All right, here we go. Here we have the components for Noble Treachery. You have these alliance tokens in the 5 different colors. You have dice in 5 different colors. You have a token that is going to determine when it is played whether it is a diplomacy or war turn when you play. I separated out these 6 cards so I can show you, but normally all the cards are put together into one giant deck. These are the common cards. Cards have a value and a color up here, and they also have an ability that they enact. Like here, roll any die except the yellow die. So when you play this card, you immediately get to take that action. Now, if I can find, like here's a noble, there's a green one, and it's like rolling die except the green die. So you can see that, no, that's not the right card, sorry. You can see that with the 2 different types of noble cards, they're exactly the same except for the color. And then what they do is slightly different just because of the fact that what it is. The values of the cards are 1 through 9. Nobles are 1. Armies are 9. So here's like a blue army. Roll any die except the blue die. You can see here's a roll any die except the red die. So you can kind of see between those two. And it kind of makes sense because in diplomacy rounds, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a low score. And so nobles are diplomatic, and so they're a 1. And in a war turn, you're trying to get a high score. And so armies obviously are war, and they have a value of 9. Now these cards are the uncommon cards, and you can tell that because they have diamonds around their values. And these are a little bit more complex. The cards themselves, they actually have more complex powers. Like you hear the fortune teller is draw 2 random cards from each player when it is their turn to play. So you understand, when each person takes a turn on a round, they're taking a card and they're playing it. So if you had played this, each person after you, you get to do this. And so the player chooses which card to play and returns the other one to their hand. And so you can see, here's a tome. So like the blue 3 and the yellow 3 are obviously completely different. At the end of each of your opponent's turns, after this card is played, you may roll any single die. And so these cards have much varied and much different abilities, but the values are still, they still count exactly the same. So like the goblins, you can change diplomacy to war, unless goblins is the last card played in the round. So like goblins obviously like change the game and things like that. So lots of cool, fun effects with the uncommon cards. So as I said, you do combine like both of these decks of cards into one giant deck, and then you begin you'll have the giant deck to draw from, or deal from, I should say, during the main game. Also, it should be noted, and I'm not gonna shuffle those in front of you. I will like kind of pause the video, if you will, and shuffle them. But when you are getting ready to play the game, depending on how many people are playing, you have to remove some of these tokens. If you're playing with 6, you get to keep all 5. This is a 4 to 6 player game. So if you play with 4, you have to go down to 3, and if you play with 5, you have to go down to 4. If say like I'll set up a 5-player game. So if we're playing with five people, you're going to take one of these away, and you always take the highest value. So you're going to take the black 23 out, the red 22, the green 24, the yellow 21, and the blue 25. And we'll go ahead and we'll pull those out. Those tokens will not be used in this game. And once I shuffle up the deck, we'll be ready to go. So, with the magic of video editing, that'll happen in just mere moments. Ta-da! Okay, so there we have a giant shuffled deck of cards, and we can go ahead and we can start getting set up. Normally, what'll happen is each player will roll a die, and then they'll be the dealer. Whoever gets the lowest number will be the dealer. We've already pulled the alliance tokens, so we don't have to worry about doing that. Now, with a 5-player game, each player will start with it starts with 2 alliance tokens to begin the game. In a 4-player game, you start with 1, and in a 6-player, you start with 2 as well. So what the dealer will do is they will take the deck, and for the first person to the left, they turn it over, and so like the first person gets a blue, and they always get the lowest number. So we'll go ahead and just put that one over there. So the next player gets a green. So we go like that. Next player gets a red. We go like that. Green. Blue. And now we've gone 5, and so now we go back. It's serpentine, if you understand what I mean like that. So another blue for them. Another green. Another green. We've used up all the green, which is pretty cool, actually. A black. And another green. Can't do green because green's already gone, so we do another one. Another blue. So both blue and green are gone. Now here's the interesting thing is, remember, you need one of each color to win the game. So the people that have the blue and the green, they, obviously then now this has one of those neat effects where people are going to have to figure out a way to get those tokens out of their hands. But don't worry, it's not as hard as you might think, actually, because of the fact that I'm going to show you with the first round of the when I show you a round of the game, people have to put up the tokens that they have if they want a chance to really be able to gain a token that's put up as a spoil for each round of the game. So we'll go ahead and move these over like so. We'll get that out of the way, put the dice in the middle, and I will shuffle up these cards. And once again, with the magic of video editing, this will only take just a few moments. Once again, ta-da! Alright, so now we have to, because we don't ever use all of the cards that are in this deck. Yeah, in a full 6-player game, you pull one random card out of the deck. In a 5-player game, you pull 5 cards out, and in a 4-player game, you pull 7. So we'll just take the top 5 cards. Nobody gets to see these; they're just gone. We'll take them. We'll get rid of them, and that obviously adds a lot to the game because people. If you have friends of mine, friends like mine, you have people that love to count cards and love to be able to keep track of what has been played and what hasn't been played. And so when you take cards out, you're kind of nullifying that to a certain degree. Obviously, you can kind of still keep track and have an idea, but you understand what I mean. So, next thing that happens is that you will deal out cards to each person. Well, the dealer does that. And you go ahead and you will deal out 7 cards to each person. I'm just doing this as fast as I can here. Once these are dealt, the person that is in last place will get to roll the dice. And the reason why the person in last place rolls the dice is because depending on what you roll, you could earn a bonus just by what you rolled. It's much like Yahtzee dice, if you will, like straights or like full houses and things like that will give you a bonus. And so you roll the dice, and remember, and I almost got a full house actually. You notice I got a 1, 2, and 3 threes. Now remember, these values are going to be added to the color of the card that you play. So if you play like a green 3 that's an 8, you'd get 8 plus 3 and be worth 11. And remember, the person that wins the round gets the spoils. Now you might be wondering what the spoils are. Well, the spoils will be alliance tokens, obviously, because alliance tokens are what you need to win the game. The token that is offered up as spoils is determined by the dice. You take the highest number that was rolled, and then you take then the lowest number token that is available of that color. Now, in this case, we rolled a yellow 3, a red 3, and a green 3, and that's our highest number. There aren't any green tokens, so you don't have that option at all. You can't pick a green token. So in this case, the person that rolled the dice gets to pick either red or yellow, and they have to take the lowest number. So we'll take the yellow 5. We'll put the rest of these off to the side like so, and we'll put that in the middle. That is going to be the spoils for this particular round. Now, beginning with the now you're going to have to do what's called the bid or the bet, as far as like who wants to they're going to look at their cards, they're going to look at the dice that are sitting out there, and they're going to try to determine if they feel they have a good shot at winning this round and being able to claim this alliance token that's in the middle. And if they think they do have a good shot at winning that with the combination of the cards they have in the hand, the number values that are on the dice, they can then bid to be the challenger for the round. The bet will begin with the player... The bet will begin with the player that is to the left of the person that rolled the dice. And they'll look at their cards and they'll decide whether or not they want to bet. Now, this isn't like a lot of games where like you can always increase the bet, where it's like, I bet this, oh, you bet that. Okay, I'll go higher than you. Okay, you'll go higher than me, back and forth until one person finally passes. You only get to bet once. And so that's where obviously being the last person, once again, the person in last place got to roll the dice. They're the last person to actually do the bid, their bet. So they can watch and see what other people do, and then they can make up their mind. when you bet, you actually have to offer up your own alliance tokens that you already still have. And so, and then you just place that out. Whatever the number is that's on the token is the value of the token. However, if somebody bids 2 tokens, no matter what the value is on those 2 tokens, it's always higher than 1. So if this player bid with their blue 20, like so, the next player up could bid with their 2 and their 3, and this would be more than the 20 because of the fact that there's 2 tokens. However, if somebody else bid 2 tokens, say like this player with the 9 and their 19, you would then take the value of the numbers and not just the number of tokens. However, if somebody bid 3 tokens, obviously that would be bigger than that no matter what. Each person then will bet, and this is one of those really cool parts of the game where you're trying to figure out what other people are planning and doing, what they want, what you think they might do, and the options that they have in front of them. And whoever then wins the bet automatically wins. They win the challenge, and they're the challenger for that particular round. Now, that doesn't mean they're the only person that can win. It just means they get to be the first person that they can either choose to be the first person to play a card, or they can choose to be the last person to play a card. And that's a very powerful ability because, obviously, if you have a very powerful card that can affect everybody right away, you want to go first, and you can play that card, and then you can dictate the action. Or if you want to see what everybody else puts out, and how everybody else changes the game board and changes the dice and things like that, and so you can bide your time, and then you can be the last person to play the card. So let's just say, for example, this player won, and they put their they bid 19. Nobody else wanted to bid higher than that, and they won the bid, and they're the challenger. This token then goes into the middle. They are putting that at risk. Now, it's out there, and it can't be affected. There's some abilities in the game that allow people to take different tokens and things like that. But this is protected now. It can't be changed. It can't be altered. And if this person wins the round, they get it back. If somebody else wins the round, it's at risk, and it can be taken. So each person then will now look at their cards, and so we'll go ahead and we'll take a look. And so obviously I didn't look at these before, so I'm just I was gambling I get something good, and I did actually. So I have an army, the green army 9, and remember this 3 is out there, and it's fairly high, and so I'm able to put that together and make it into a 12, which could very well be the highest number. I also have a army 3, the yellow one, so I think he's going to choose to go last. And so then somebody else's, so going around the table, the next player will go. And looking at this particular card, we have a red army. We have a curse, so that's kind of a neat one. All opponents lose 1 alliance token that matches the color of the lowest value die. Die cannot be tied, and tokens are returned to the bank. Well, we have anybody who had a black token would lose it if we played this, but that's really not going to help this player. It's like, well, a knight, and you can roll the red die, or the highest value non-red die. Well, you got a 3, so there'd be a chance that you'd get higher than that. So let's just try that. He's going to play the knight. So he plays the knight and allows him to roll the red die or the highest value non-red die. But he's going to re-roll the red die, and he's going to hope to get a 4, 5, or 6 and improve his value. And he got a 4, so he did improve it. So right now he's got a 8, and the 4 would give him a 12. So the next player goes, and they're going to look at their cards. They also have a knight. They could re-roll the green die if they wanted. The mage, and the mage is a cool card. I'm just going to take a second to show this. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, the person that wins the bid gets to pick whether they're going to have a war or a diplomacy round. And obviously we would have picked war. And so we're adding it together. But the mage has the unique ability that you subtract the blue die value from the power of the card if you're playing during a diplomacy round. And this is the only card that actually gets to change that. So if you have like a blue 5 out there, the mage is still pretty valuable, because if it's a diplomacy run, it goes down to a 2. You know, or obviously if it's a 5 out there and it's a blue, you know, it's a pretty high score as well. So we're looking at these cards. The castle is a pretty cool card also. It's like no alliance token can be taken from a player played this round, so you protect yourself with that. But you know, looking this over, yeah, I mean, it's a little boring, but you know, the Green Knight is probably the best option at this point. Maybe you can get if you get a 5 or a 6, you're going to have a higher score. So we'll go ahead and roll that. I did not. We lowered it down to a 2, which kind of stinks, and he's sitting at a 10. Probably not the best option to do it that round, but he had a shot. You know, he had a 1 in 3 shot of getting a higher number. Oh, geez. Yeah, another knight, but the wizard. I do like this one. Oh, and I should have mentioned that when you're rolling the dice, if you ever get like the changes, like if you ever actually roll and you're able to get a full house, which is called a throne, that is one of the, and this happens not only when the dice are rolled the first time, but every successive time that the dice are rolled. And if you can actually get it to be one of the specific options, then like you get to turn that in. So we're almost got a straight here, actually. If you see, it's like we got this 2, but we got a 4 there. So if, you know, somebody could re-roll the green 2 and make it a 5, they get it. So if you get a throne, you get a 3 of a kind and a 2 of a kind. You can take an alliance token that matches the color of one of the dice in the pair. So in other words, not the 3 of a kind, but the 2 of a kind. And you get to take that from the bank. So that's actually pretty awesome, obviously, if you get that. And if you get a straight, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can take an alliance token from the bank. The player, you can take an alliance token, but it has to match either the lowest value or the highest value that that is in there. Once again, when you take them out of the bank, you have to take the lowest available number that's available. And finally, if you ever get 5 of a kind, it's called poison, and the player that rolled the dice that makes it poisons an opponent of their choosing, and they immediately take all of that poison player's alliance tokens, which I haven't had that happen. Basically, it's a Yahtzee, obviously, and I haven't had that happen again, but that seems like it would be very debilitating if that ever occurred. And so we're sitting here, and but here the wizard here has the ability that says change any single die to any value. Dice combination bonuses may be gained. So I'm going to play that as this player, because I can immediately just take this die and I can make it a 5. Yeah, I'm helping him out. I've just gave him a higher total than him, but I get to take a token automatically. And there are no green ones available, but I can take this black 8. Now you might say, well, that doesn't really seem like it's really helpful because of the fact that I've already got a black one. But alliance tokens are basically your currency in this game, and if you're able to use them for your bidding and what have you, they are obviously if you don't want to offer up something that's going to harm you, now you can start offering up, like if you combine 2, you can offer up your 3 and so on and so forth, and then you might not endanger yourself or endanger your chance to winning. So here we go. We're going to take a look. We have a red army, dragon. The dragon is actually a really cool card, but only if you actually can start off a round. Because once you play it, cards with the base power of 8 or greater cannot be played after this card is played. It's an excellent way to start off a round, because then nobody else can basically match you as long as you can get a high number on that red die. And it's situational, but it's very powerful, obviously. And looking at this over, our best bet here is kind of to play the red army, and then you can re-roll the dice. And what this person can do, they play the red army, they place that down, and we're going to re-roll that green die. We're going to hopefully get a lower number, and then if that happens, then we're ahead of the knight. And of course we didn't. We rolled a 6. Now the green has a higher number. And so we get back to the first player. We're going to go ahead and look. And if I remember correctly, yes, he had the green army. And so that 6 just cinched it for him. And he was like, that's perfect. Thank you very much. He's going to go ahead and play that. He gets to re-roll a die, but at this point it doesn't matter. He will go ahead and roll this die because of the fact that it can't hurt him. And if I get a 5, he'll get a straight. So we'll see what happens. And I did get a 5. That's pretty awesome. So he gets to take a token, but unfortunately he can't, actually. That kind of stinks because there's no blue or green ones available. But that would have been pretty cool if that had worked out just perfectly like that. But we have a 9 with the 6. It's a war, so that's a 15. Nobody else can beat that. He's got the top score, and he's going to win this particular round, which means he's going to win the spoils. Now, if there was a tied score in this situation, what would happen is it's kind of interesting. If the challenger played first, then whoever played their card first that tied would win the challenge. If the challenger played last, whoever played the last card of the tied players would win the challenge. So once again, obviously, like when you're the challenger, you have great power because obviously if you can then tie at the end of your round and you'd still win the challenge. Now, when claiming spoils, obviously, since he bet this one, we're going to go ahead and put that back in his total, and he just takes the 1 token that's available, and he'll place that with what he has. Now, if somebody else had 1, like, say, this player over here had 1, they only get to take 1 of the tokens. They get to choose 1 and take it. So they could take the green 19, and they could put it towards their spoils. And then, this would go back to the bank, and it would be there for, the next round for people, to be able to take it from it or be available to be the spoil for the next round. Now, if the alliance tokens that are in the middle, if you don't have a color that's there, you have to take the token. If you have the tokens colored, so let's, for example's sake, I'm going to have to pilfer from the other players, but let's say those 2 are in there and this person won. I have a blue 11. I have a green 2. I can still take one of those if I choose to. But if I don't want to, I can then, if it was a war round, I can take 1 alliance token from any opponent. The challenge winner chooses which alliance token is taken. So you pick somebody, I'm going to take an alliance token for that person, and the challenge winner gets to choose that. If it was a diplomacy, the player that won the challenge chooses a color and then a direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And then all players must pass 1 of the tokens they have of that color in the direction that is specified. If you don't have the proper color, you don't have to send anything. But you can still get a token. You aren't considered out. So that's the difference between the diplomacy and the war as well. All the played cards in the current round are discarded back into a community deck, and they are turned face down, and they will never be used again. You don't shuffle up and re-deal at any point in this game. And then each person gets 1 more card to add to their hand, like so. And I got another one down here, like that. And then we would move on until the next round. To win the game, as I said, you have to have 1 token of each color. The first person to do that is the winner. If more than 1 person does that in 1 round, then you do have a tiebreaker situation. The tiebreakers are like, first is the player with the highest number of different colors of alliance tokens. The token values are not considered. I found that confusing. I was reading that a couple of times. I was like, the highest number of different colors of alliance tokens. But that makes sense because of the fact that if you don't actually, nobody actually gets all the different colors, the game ends when you run out of these cards in the main deck. And when you run out of the cards, then you decide. And so if somebody has 4 and nobody else has 4, of each color, then then they'd win. If you're still tied, in the case of like 2 players getting all 5 colors at the same round, The player with the most total alliance tokens, you don't worry about the values in the tokens, just if you have, you know, 5, 1 of each color and 1 more, that'd be 6, but if somebody else has 1 of each color and 2 more, that would be 7, and they win. And then you go to the player that has the highest sum of the alliance token values. And then finally, the player with the alliance token that has the highest alliance token point value, if you somehow are still tied at that point. And then that's how you play the game. There's a lot of little rules and things like that, and it seems. I remember when I was trying to explain the game to my gaming group and trying to teach them the game after I'd kind of played it solo a couple times. They were like, okay, what is that? What is that? You know, so this, I go counterclockwise and so on and so forth. And so there's a little bit of a stumble there. But quite honestly, once the game starts rolling, everybody kind of catches up on the game and catches up on the rules. And the game just starts flowing really super smooth. And everybody's having a pretty good time, too. But I'll get into more of that when I tell you exactly what I think of Noble Treachery in my conclusion, which I'll do right now. Hey everybody, we're back, and that was how to play Noble Treachery. So, as I said in the introduction, I said I kind of got a Biblios feel before I even played the game once, and that was basically because of the different dice and being able to affect the dice and using those dice to empower you, and then, you know, and possibly, like, as the game is being played, people playing different cards to change the dice on you and what have you. And I like that. I like that aspect. I like the interaction of the people, like, affecting different rounds and having, like, a good plan or a good idea. Like, I'm going to play, you know, this card, and I'm going to be able to add that red 5 out there, and that's going to give me, like, 14 with this army card, and I'm going to be doing really well. And then somebody, like, after you being able to play something to mess with that, and then taking and, you know, pulling that up from underneath your rug, that not working. And I always like games like that where you can kind of mess with people and how you can affect people, and those are the games that afford really good choices, because of the fact that the turn order is, like, the most important part of the game. If you have cards that you want to be able to be played last, like you say, I'll be able to play this, and you know, I'll be able to get those spoils, you know, out of the middle. You are going to be trying to that's where the bidding comes in. You know, when you're trying to you know, you're offering up what you have, and, you know, to in order to get, you know, relatively small spoils. But that's also part of the game that I like a lot. I mean, you got to be really sure that, you know, the card or the idea or the plan that you have is going to work, and nobody's going to mess with it. And that's where kind of the double thing starts happening, where people, like, look at the dice and they say, well, because especially if, like, you know, very rarely does the person who wins the bid do they go first, unless they have, like, a powerful card like the dragon or something like that. And but so they're going to go last, and so pretty much everybody else at the table has to kind of think about what that person's going for, and they have to look at the dice and look at what they're doing, and then, you know, they're going to try to mess with that plan that the person's going to be enacting later. And then plus there's the whole process you have of, like, the ever-changing values and whatever, and be able to react to that, and, you know, being able to think on the fly and being able to change your tactics, and it seems, especially the first time you play it, it seems fairly chaotic. And it's one of those things where once you kind of get used to all the different common cards and all the different, you know, the normal abilities, if you will, you tend to, the familiarity, that a lot of that chaos kind of fades away, and then that's when the game kind of opens up. Now, I mean, and the good thing is that, like I said, if you play, like, 4 or 5 players and everybody knows how to play, you can wrap up a game with this, you know, underneath an hour. And this is definitely one of those games that once you play it, it's like, oh, I gotta play that again, you know, because the variable card powers, I love games with variable card powers, variable different options and abilities, and I love that aspect, or that mechanic in games, because I love how the cards that I play both interact with me, but also have a long-standing effect. And I love messing with other people's abilities, and I love being able to try to plan for somebody else's decision or their attempt to screw with what I'm trying to do as well. Probably, like I mentioned Biblios at the beginning of this a couple times actually, and you know, it isn't exactly a direct port by any means. Or whatever. I don't even know if Biblios was even on this designer's radar as far as games out there. But I kind of look at this as a more backstabby Biblios, if you will. You know, because of the fact that you can kind of you can kind of see, you always can tell how good people are doing, because you can tell, you know, how many tokens they have, and you can see the different colors that they have, and you can see the values of those tokens, and you always know like who's kind of getting ahead, and I know like a lot of games where like open knowledge as far as like who's winning, people always worry about like getting up on the leader problem. But the cool thing about this game is that you can, even if you got 4 out of the 5, people can try to mess with you. They can try to like make sure that your cards don't work. But usually, if you're innovative enough or you're clever enough, you can usually sneak in a win anyway. And so you don't have a problem where it's like one person gets really close, everybody else pounds on that person, knocks them down, and then they wait for somebody else to get up, and then you pound on that person, and then and then finally one person who just has a perfect combination of cards wins. We've all played games like that, and those just technically really aren't fun because there's no real strategy involved. But this game isn't like that because of the fact that it's very rare, one, that anybody really gets ahead and gets going really quickly and gets ahead of everybody else. Everybody kind of always incrementally moves ahead at the same speed, it seems like. And once you kind of understand that, you have to offer up, your tokens if you want any shot at being able to like gain spoils, and then people get into that auction, that bid part, to be the challenger, and that's probably like the most fun decision of the game is determining whether or not you are going to lay part of your earnings, if you will, on the line for the chance of a relatively small reward. But obviously you need that reward, to be able to win the game. So, I guess it's one of those games that it fits my group perfectly, because we enjoy card games that make us think. We enjoy card games that have one of those relatively small rule sets, but the underlying strategy and the depth of the game far outweighs any of the mechanics that are already there. And we really, really enjoy games that reward us with repeated plays. And this is a game that does all of that. And so, if you're looking for a really fun, make you think, kind of burn your brain a little bit, a card game that integrates a lot of really like tried and true mechanics. Truthfully, I mean, none of the mechanics in this game are super innovative, but they are, but they're tried and true, and they're presented in a kind of in a very new spin, for an exciting way, actually, for me anyway. If you're looking for something like that, and you have a larger game group, obviously, because this game is for 4 through 6, I would strongly suggest you take a look at the Kickstarter page for Noble Treachery and consider backing the game, because I don't think you'll be disappointed in the slightest. So there you go. That was Noble Treachery. If you have any questions or concerns or ideas, please leave those, and I will answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, this was Undead Viking, and I will check you out. Well, no, you'll check me. Well, you and I will see each other once the next video comes out. All right. Wherever you are, I hope you're warm, because we're not warm in Moorhead, Minnesota. So you take care of yourself. Bye-bye now.